can just jump in if you want. Absolutely.
So they were going to connect and see what they they didn't quite know.
You have to push it. Push the top button. The top button.
Yeah,
One more time.
Awesome. So that's really cool.
There you go.
So thank you.
So I call this meeting to order. So we'll start with roll call. Director Eto, if you'd start us, please.
Hiroshi Eto, Director, District 5.
Claire Wilson, Director, District 2.
Jeffrey McAnalloy, Director, District 1.
Liz Drake, Director, District 3.
Tammy Campbell, Superintendent.
And now if you all please rise for the presentation of the colors by Federal Way High School, JROTC. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion for the adoption of the meeting agenda.
I move that the Board of Education approve the meeting agenda of January 26, 2016 as submitted.
Hear a motion, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I move that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda of January 26, 2016 as submitted.
Hear a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to point out that one of the items in the consent agenda is the Carl Perkins grant, which is part of the Career and Technical Education Program. Although we haven't had a chance to hear from Director Royce Bradley, who's taken over the CTE program from Nancy Hawkins, this document, which runs over 50 pages long, states all the criteria that we're meeting under our Career and Technical Education Program, and also talks about the successes we've had in expansion of the program. And you know, one of the things that I've always highlighted in the past is that we've got a very robust Career and Technical Education Program, but it has a very poor marketing initiative behind it, and so a lot of parents don't know. And so a lot of these good things that are spelled out in 50 pages of documentation by Royce Badley, I don't think is understood by the parents. And so if we can post it or get additional emphasis put on this program so that the parents understand that there's options beyond college or direct career, that there's also the ability to get into the trades, I think is really important. So I really commend the effort that it took to document all that's required for that Carl Perkins grant, and I just wanted to highlight that.
Sure.
I just want to make a real quick note that we are right now rolling out new college and beyond handbooks that have all of the pathways with all of our CT offerings for the first time. And so we've made over 5,000 copies of those documents, and at the upcoming high school planning nights, you'll see probably an enhancement of that marketing.
That is fantastic to hear. Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now is probably become my favorite part of this meeting. It's good news announcements. So we will start. And Dr. Campbell.
While President McAnalloy and Superintendent Campbell are making their way down, I would like to invite up to the front Rob Ryan, Jim Awan, Victoria Cacho, and Joy Ellis. If you could come up front, please, if you're here. The Federal Way High School speech and debate team has been bringing home a lot of awards lately. Rob Ryan Juawan won second in dramatic interpretation. Victoria Cacho won first in oratory. And Joy Ellis was a finalist in congressional debate during the Federal Way tournament. At the most recent meet at the University of Puget Sound, Zachary Gotisha, if he's here, please come forward, finished second in Congress and extemporaneous speaking. Wendy Escobedo, if she's here, please come forward, was third in oratory. And Joy Ellis as a finalist, novice in congressional debate. Congratulations, Federal Way High School speech and debate team. We're proud of you. And I can say that speech and debate, I didn't know wasn't a spectator sport. And as a parent, showed up one day and they thought I was a judge, and I said, no, I'm just coming to check it out. And it's probably one of the most amazing events I've ever had a chance to experience, and watching students lead and to speak from their passion and their heart has been fabulous. So congratulations. We're really proud of all of you.
This one as well. Smile, big smile.
Another hand.
All right, congratulations. All right, here we go. Next up, Favor Orgy and her family, if they're with her. Come on up. Favor Orgy is a senior at Taft Academy. I think it's Celebration for Families, so come forward. She's been awarded the Horatio Alger Association State Scholarship. This scholarship is valued at $7,000 and will be dispersed over her collegiate career. Favor is an extraordinary student and has interned at the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center for the last 3 years. She has also led a school-wide awareness campaign on human trafficking. Principal Paul Teitler says she is an exceptional student leader. She intends to pursue a career in medicine and hopes to become a doctor, and has applied to multiple universities, with Harvard, Johns Hopkins, and Princeton being her top choices. We look forward to seeing what the future holds for you, Favor. Congratulations. Yes.
All right, big smile. Just one more. Thank you.
And now Elizabeth Min and family, if you're in the audience, do come up. Elizabeth Min. Sadly not here, but Elizabeth Min is a Decatur High School student. She won the 10th grade category for her essay on World War II for Legacy, Washington, an initiative of the Secretary of State to document Washington's state history. Elizabeth will be honored at an award ceremony at the Secretary of State's office on Tuesday, February the 2nd. Even though you're not here, Elizabeth, congratulations on your achievement. Well done. Round of applause. And the next good news, as part of the district's ongoing work to incorporate 21st century skills within our instruction, all grade level participated in Hours of Code activities last December. Hour of Code is a global initiative meant to encourage people of all ages to learn the foundations of computer science through practical coding tutorials. We are pleased to report that 7,516 students participated in the week-long event. Activities included building and programming Lego robots, developing games, and coding Cephiro robots to move about and change color. We want to celebrate our teachers who embedded Hour of Code week tutorials in their regular lessons, ensuring our students are keeping pace with current technological competencies. A special thanks goes to CTE Director Royce Badley and the Teaching for Learning Department for their efforts and outreach to encourage participation. I don't know if Royce is here. She's not, but congratulations.
Okay, could we have Sagali Middle School Principal Marin Miller come up with his guests? Sagali Middle School has offered an innovative Korean language program since 2014. This program provides an opportunity for students to access a unique program incorporating blended learning and foreign language, in this instance, the Korean language. Sagali Principal Marin Miller has stated that the future is bilingual, and a gift of $8,000 was awarded to Sagali to support the program. Sagali is now planning to offer one section of Korean language to 30 students in the spring of 2016. So on behalf of the school district, we'd like to share our appreciation with Consulate General of the Republic of Korea in Seattle, Council Park, for their partnership with Sagali Middle School and the Federal Way Public Schools. 감사합니다.
We would like to take a moment to recognize and thank the Kiwanis Club of Federal Way for their continued partnership over the years. Kiwanis Club has run the concession stand at Memorial Field since 1971, donating 50% of their proceeds to the district, which goes to support the Activities Fund. The rest of the proceeds are used by the Kiwanis Club to support other programs headed by the organization, such as scholarships for seniors, dictionaries for all third graders in the district, and Terrific Kids, which honors students that are progressing well in school. Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to changing the world one child, one community at a time. We would like to welcome the Kiwanis Club of Federal Way President Dennis Hulsey to accept this certificate in recognition of your support and along with all of your allies around. We appreciate your steadfast service within our community and all you do to support our student scholars here in Federal Way. Thank you all so very, very much.
And I would like, this is Liz Drake, who is a recent Kiwanian, I would like to say how proud I am of all the work that all of these people do. I had no idea the efforts that went in to the stand at the stadium and all the difference that you are making to our school district. So thank you.
Tammy says she'll buy 50 this year, right? You're gonna mark them off when you come.
I too am joining Kiwanis, and I have to tell you, there's such a commitment for our kids. It's so obvious in the meetings, and I'm looking forward to the continued partnership and the support you're giving for our scholars. Thank you on behalf of them. Thank you.
And the money's used towards activities in the school district. We do the same with our half of the money, our $19,000. It goes back to activities for kids in schools. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We'll give them just a minute as some people are clearing out. Okay, next item on the agenda is the legislative report. Director Drake.
Well, we are 12 days into the legislative session, 12 of 60 days, and it is strongly thought that probably the most important bill to basic education funding, the McCleary bill, is not going to be going anywhere this session. It's not a budget year, and it is an election year. And no one feels that they should be in a position of talking about increased taxes in an election year. But there are lots of bills being heard this week, bills that are companion bills, that are bills connected to funding basic education. I'm just going to outline a couple. House Bill 2366, requiring that legislative action be taken by the end of 2017 session to eliminate the dependency on local levies of the state's program of basic education. Basically, what I'm understanding is this is a bill that is going to prevent total financial disaster for school districts when levies cease to be able to be raised anymore. Also, House Bill 2382, teacher recruitment and retention. It is certainly of considerable concern here within Federal Way. Being able to provide every student with good education requires teachers, and it is of huge concern to us here in Federal Way. Director McAnalloy and myself are traveling this weekend and Monday, and Superintendent Campbell and Director. We're going to be going to Olympia. It's a legislative conference, and we are going to be speaking very strongly on behalf of our district around the issues that are of particular concern to us. And in connection to that, we've been working closely with Superintendent Campbell and her staff on putting together some very specific, focused concerns that we have. And their number one is really being concerned about teacher shortage, funding full cost basic education, increased school construction. The funding on construction of school buildings is not covering what it is we need to provide for the students that are coming into our district. It is of concern. Now, we actually have a one-page flyer that we're going to be taking with us, and I'm hoping we're also going to be putting it up on the website so you can go and see the specifics behind these issues. And as I say, we are going to be speaking very strongly and very fervently to our legislators during this period of time, and I look forward to coming back in 2 weeks and telling you how it went, hoping for some successful conversations. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Director Drake. All right, so the next item on the agenda is public comment. There are blue sheets in the back into the table if you're interested in making a comment. That's how we do comments here at the board meeting. So our first comment this evening comes from Ed Plumley.
Good evening, and to the Honorable Board and the Superintendent. At a Commissioners meeting tonight, I was asked to pass along for the Board of Commissioners for South King Fire and Rescue has unanimously endorsed the tech levy on the February 9th ballot coming up. So I wanted to pass along, so the Chief of the Fire Department wanted me to pass along to you. So good luck, and I encourage everybody to at least vote. So
Great. Thank you very much for your support. Next is Gary Robertson.
Good evening, Superintendent Campbell and board members. My name is Gary Robertson, and I've spoken to you many times before on various issues. But before I start my speech, I have a couple quick announcements I'd like to make. In last week's Mirror and online, there's an article I wrote about called the Tech Levy Necessary. And I urge all of you listening and watching this board meeting to read that article before you vote. And the second thing is, I also urge you to read an article titled Federal Way Superintendent Earns Extra Credit. And I'll be commenting on that article next time. Okay, now for my speech. And this is one that I've waited 17 years to give. And it's appropriate because it follows up on comments Dr. Campbell made at the last board meeting. And it's appropriate again because this is January. I think she said this is Board Recognition Month. And that's what my speech is about. And it's directed to Dr. Campbell because it's about your board. I'm sure you all remember a movie titled The Perfect Storm. Well, this is a slight analogy to that because what we have now for the first time is what I call the perfect situation. What I mean by that is with Dr. Campbell, we have the perfect superintendent, and with the addition of Liz Drake and the re-election of Claire Wilson and Hiroshi Eto, we now have the perfect board. And first, I'd like to make a brief comment about Liz Drake. I first met her 4 years ago when she ran for the board. Unfortunately, the superintendent asked her to resume her position as a high school principal, which ended her campaign. But I'm very happy to say she never lost sight of her ultimate goal to serve the community by being a member of this board. Now that she's been elected, she brings a wealth of knowledge and experience in education, which will be a true asset to this board. I can say that because I've talked to her about many school issues and we're on the same page. And finally, a comment about the only contested race, which was for position 2. Both Claire Wilson and Angela Griffith had prior board experience and ran great campaigns, as evidenced by the fact that the race was the closest one on the ballot, which with the difference being a minuscule 3%. When I witnessed both of these women sign waving on the Saturday before the election in a driving rainstorm where all the other sign waving candidates had left, it proved to me beyond a doubt that both of these women are very dedicated individuals to our school district. I know the election rules state that the one with the most votes gets a seat and loser goes home, but this is one time I wholeheartedly disagree. In my opinion, there were no losers in this race because both of these women are winners. So I urge you, Dr. Campbell, to find a way to utilize the experience and talent of Angela Griffith to help you accomplish your mission. The more you can use the exceptional experience and talents of our community members, the easier your job will be and the more you can accomplish. One final comment. When I wrote an article about the appointment of Dr. Campbell as our new superintendent that was published in the Mirror, the last thing I said was our school district has a very bright future ahead. Thanks to this election, that statement has become a reality. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So next is Tasia Manderfeld and Celeste Ventura.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Martin. I'm the assistant principal at Sahali Middle School, and we have 2 students that I'd like to share with you their passion for technology.
I'm Tasia. I'm Celeste and I'm in 8th grade. Okay, we should keep the Tech Levy program because it is helpful to students and the school. I know from personal experience that I don't always have access to my computer at home. Either my mom is using it or my sister is doing her homework. Who knows? There's always something going on. By having one-to-one technology, students without access to a computer at home can check their grades and missing work. I've been to a lot of schools, and the Tech Levy program helps Federal Way Public Schools stand out among the rest because not a lot of schools have such an opportunity. It is great for the future because technology makes more of an impact in today's age, and all students should be prepared for the future. We need to know how to use our technology correctly. Technology in school makes school enjoyable and easier, but still gives us a good challenge. Thank you, school and city, for creating this program and supporting us. I hope all of you vote yes for Tech Levy. Thank you.
Thank you both very much. Next is Loudon Miller and Liben Facili.
Once again, I'm Jennifer Martin, the assistant principal at Sahali Middle School, and I have some students that want to share with you how important technology is in their everyday lives.
Hello, I am Laban Tivoli Facili, ASB president for Sahali Middle School. Why is the Tech Levy important? The Tech Levy gives us all laptops, which helps us write reports, create PowerPoints, watch educational videos, learn with programs such as BrainPop, Khan Academy, and Dreambox. The Tech Levy gives us access to great educational tools. Please vote yes on the Federal Way Tech Levy.
Thank you.
Did you know that the UC Irvine Medical School reported students with iPads scored 23% higher on a national exams than those without iPads. My name is Laud Miller, and I'm a 6th grader at Sahalee Middle School. I'm here to persuade you to vote yes for the tech levy. At Sahalee Middle School, every student has their own laptop. I use this laptop in every period for different uses. One use for all of the periods is to look at student view and check my grades. In my first period, ELA, I use it for the do now and grammar projects and spelling. In my second period, Spanish class, I use my laptop for Spanish sites and Google Translate for long projects. In my third period, social studies class, I use it for researching history and vocabulary. In my fourth period, science class, I use it to access a web-based program called BrainPop and learn through doing simulations. In my fifth period math, I use my computer for another program called Dreambox and to watch videos the pre-algebra teachers make. Now let's look at the levy itself. First, it does not increase taxes. Second, it just continues the old levy already voted in 2010. Classrooms consume paper. It's a known fact. Now, paper equals trees. So how much paper do you get per tree? One medium-sized tree is roughly 8,000 pieces of paper, and the average school uses 250,000 pieces of paper, which costs about $25,000. However, for the same price, you could get 166 laptops. Now vote yes to the tech levy. It helps Mother Earth, the students, and the next generation. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Loudon. Great job. Next is Christian Knudsen.
Good evening, Superintendent Campbell and the board members. I'm Christian Knudsen, and all of us here tonight are Thomas Jefferson students. For the past 11 years, the Thomas Jefferson RPM group, the Raider Parent Movement, has hosted an auction, and this auction helps provide essential resources that supplement district funds in 4 critical areas: academics, athletics, activities, and the arts. This year auction is on Saturday, March 5th at Emerald Downs. Each of these students represent a different group that benefits from the TJRPM auction. We would like to invite you, the board members.
Director McAnalloy.
Director Wilson.
Director Drake.
Director Eto.
And Dr. Campbell, plus any available assistant superintendents, to please join us at Emerald Downs Thomas Jefferson RPM auction Saturday, March 5th, starting at 5 p.m. We have tickets here tonight if you are willing to purchase one of them. You can see Miss Ruppel over there. But thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, we'll stick around until the end of the meeting to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Great job. And now we'll move to superintendent comments. Dr. Campbell?
Well, it has been a busy week, and today is Tuesday, and it feels like it's much longer than that. So I'll tell you just a couple of highlights. This weekend, I attended the speech tournament at TJ, and I had the opportunity to sit in on a couple of students engaging in extemporaneous speaking, as well as some duets. Acting out scripts. It was pretty powerful. I had a great time. I also watched our middle school wrestling teams at Todd Beamer. It was pretty impressive, and impressive to see some of our young girls wrestling right along with the boys. Pretty robust turnout there. I also, last week, went to the MLK celebration at TJ. It was pretty compelling to see the students, and some of you are in this room today who helped to put on that MLK celebration, really showing that the future's bright and that Martin Luther King's dream is very much alive. On Monday night, yesterday, we had a community forum at the King County Library. We had quite a turnout. I would say we had almost 80 parents who came there, and the diversity of voice that was there was compelling. The commitment from our families was compelling, as well as the engagement. And there was a lot of hope, as well as clarity about what our families want for their student scholars as we engage in strategic planning. And today we had our instructional focus team meeting, and we had over 135 teachers, principals, counselors, assistant principals coming together to talk about the strategies and the practices that we're going to commit to over the next 5 to 7 years as we make our strategic plan a reality. Lots of excitement in that event today. And I was joined over those 2 days by Director McAnalloy. So those are just a few of the highlights of the week and a little bit of last week in terms of me being out and about and making sure that I'm close to the action where our kids are.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Now we move to school board comments. Director Drake, would you like to start us?
I echo a lot of what Dr. Campbell said. It's been a really happily busy 2 weeks, engaged in a whole variety of meetings and going into schools and just celebrating with students and teachers things that are going on. I, at the beginning of January, actually met with our mayor, Jim Farrell, and I was very pleased to hear his serious commitment to working very closely with us as a school district and reaching out to future meetings and ways in which we can work more closely together, because our students are our future, the future of our city, and we are about the success of our students. I attended the first community forum at Sacagawea just over a week ago, and I echo what Dr. Campbell said, the diversity of voice that we heard, and true voice, with translators there. Parents and community members were truly able to give input to our strategic plan in a way that made them feel they were making a difference. And many voices were heard, and people were leaving saying this is the first time they really felt included in the process. I attended 2 Martin Luther King assemblies, celebrations at Thomas Jefferson, the school district one on Friday, the 18th, and then the city celebration. The one on the 18th, I had tears. I was moved, and I'm looking at some of the people that were involved who are in the room. So impressed with the professional way in which you made that day real and powerful. And we had on the Monday celebration, the City Hall, city celebration, we had Dr. Campbell, our very own Dr. Campbell, speaking in very heartfelt ways about the importance of every day being about what Martin Luther King lived. We had Erin Jones, who many of us know was an important part of Federal Way for a school district for a period, and Mayor Jim Farrell. So it was a truly moving time. And I also had the opportunity to go to an elementary Martin Luther King celebration at Olympic View, and just seeing the 5, 6, 8-year-olds engaged in singing and We Shall Overcome, and really joining hands, and we in the audience, the community and parents joining hands. It was so throughout the district, celebrations like this went on, and I was so proud to be part of it. Had a school board retreat last weekend, and for a new school board member, just getting more rigor in my thinking about what is a school board member, what is policy governance, a whole day. That opportunity to share and hear ideas was very valuable. I also was invited in by Sue Bergman, a teacher at Todd Beamer, to listen to policy presentations that the students had put together, and one of the policies was around childhood obesity and trying to grapple with what policies need to be put in place to overcome childhood obesity. Very rewarding to see such young minds grappling with such important issues. And the last thing I want to report on is Friday, just a couple of days ago, Mocha with Marla. I went to. Marla Newton is the principal at Olympic View. Over 30 parents were there. She meets with parents on a monthly, regular basis. Many of the parents present were Hispanic. And again, because there was a translator there, their voice could be heard, their concerns about their students' achievement, their students' success, loud and clear. Marla Newton was amazing. The trust and the confidence that she's building at that school made me feel, as a school director, proud to be part of Federal Way School District. That's me.
Great, thank you. Vice President Wilson?
Well, I would say this month, again, it feels like we're already at the end, but it's fast. On the 19th, for the last year or so, I've been meeting with school board directors from around the South County area around issues that are of concern to us and of a wonder to us. And started out with early learning, and then it moved to early learning and then equity. And we've been getting together on a monthly basis, and last week we got together and had some really a lot of conversation around our concerns for homeless families in our districts in the South County area. And I'm well aware we've had homeless issues for a long time, but I know more and more and more families are struggling, and those struggling families are touching us, I think, more and more often. And it's not just about finding housing, but it's also trying to figure out how to help people when, in fact, we know sometimes there's one paycheck away keeps them from being able to have stable housing. And how is it that we think as a community about serving our kids and families? Because if families are in unstable housing, kids oftentimes are not in stable situations, and school for many of them is that stable place to be. And so it's such a difficult thing to deal with on our own, but I think collectively the more we can have those kinds of conversations, and I know we have organizations and agencies that are working on that, but we also have families that don't know who those organizations and agencies are, and often sometimes can't access the services they provide. So it weighs heavily on me, and as Dr. Campbell says, it's one of those haunts that doesn't sit well, it just sits. I was humbled and honored to be able to attend the 2015 Schools of Distinction at Puget Sound Educational Service District on the 21st, where our own Technology Access Foundation Academy, TAFA, was honored for a 4th year in a row for being a school of distinction. And the school of distinction means that they are in the top 5% in our state, both in reading and in math, and have sustained that growth. And as I reflected 4 years ago, I started on the board and went to my first Schools of Distinction event. And so to be able to watch the sustained progress and the outcomes for kids has been really a wonderful thing. And very proud of the school and the staff that were there that evening. I spent Saturday at the League of Education Voters Access, Equity, and Excellence Advocacy Forum at Highline Community College, and League of Education Voters is a community-based organization whose focus is on all things education. Some things you agree with and some things you don't. It's one of those places you go to learn. Spent the day with many parents, many parent leaders from our county, as well as CBO and youth serving organizations, all learning a little bit more about educational issues around educational equity, around funding, following the money, and all things McCleary. So it was a wonderful learning day for everyone there. I also observed two of the forums, the Sahali and the library, and there's nothing better than rich conversation and being a fly on the wall. And as a board director, not engaging in the conversation, but allowing the participants in the room to engage in their own conversations and just being there to observe. And it's a great opportunity, and I thank you for allowing us that opportunity. And I look forward, I know there have been some people that aren't sure on when the next forums are. So February 8th is the next forum that's at Lakota. And then February 29th is the last of the forums at Thomas Jefferson High School. Again, it doesn't matter where you live. You can go any of the forums. And there's a light dinner provided and opportunity for conversation. Sorry? Oh, 3 more. Oh, there's one at Kylo. Oh, okay, if we could get that date, that would be awesome. I also want to do a shout out to seniors and that FAFSA and WAFSAs are due. February 1st is your deadline to get the maximum that you can as far as your financial and your support. I know it's a tough one. I know applications. I have a senior myself, applications for college, SATs, for scholarships, along with school is really, really, really overwhelming, but do it because it's really worth it. And we are very, very proud of you and look forward to shaking your hands when you cross the stage in June. I also just want to say, Director Eto spoke about Carl Perkins, and I'm an old lady, but Carl Perkins funded the programs I used to teach when I was in Tacoma. So Carl Perkins has been doing incredible work in the vocational field for many, many years, and really excited to hear and to see that they continue to support all of those things. And Mr. Gary Robertson, thank you very much for your kind words and for your support of the district. And I'm sorry you've had to wait 17 years to really share some really good thinking, but I have to tell you, you've been a partner in it all and have done a lot for the kids and families in our community, and I just want to personally thank you for that support, so thanks.
Director Eto?
Well, advocating for career and technical education is fresh on my mind because the Saturday morning session of the League of Education Voters had to do with career and technical education with a panel there. And one of the funny things was one of the people there who was obviously heavily into education advocacy got up and blasted their school district about the lack of a career and technical education program. And Dr. Mosby, who runs the Puget Sound Skills Center, knew the director of that school district and the robust program that they had and told them how great a program they actually had. And that told me again that there's a marketing issue with CTE. And so with the coming of this 5,000 issue document for the parents, I'm hoping that we won't have that problem anymore in Federal Way. But it was clear, based on the panelists that was representing industry, that there's so many jobs available for kids to get into a trade, either through unions, apprenticeships, end up with a very high-paying job, a living wage job, zero college debt, and making a really good living that's something that they can stay here in the region and help the economy on, because we have so much installed infrastructure that it's not just construction jobs. You don't have to move away because there's stuff that needs repair. So it's a great program, an option for some students because not everyone is suited to go to college. So hopefully that we'll get that relevance that parents talked about last night at the Community Engagement Forum at the library, where we had translators in Spanish and Korean and Russian, and community members there that were making use of those. These folks that came out on their own time were not people with employee badges. They were community members, and it was great to see how engaged they were in the discussions and giving their perspectives. And one thing that came across very clearly is that what you want for your children transcends culture. So eventually, everyone kind of filters down to some key precepts that they want the district to hold sacred. One of the things that did come up that kind of validates this whole public process was the idea that we need safe schools. So security for their kids, having a safe environment is very important. And that was something that had been missing from the initial compilation of interests that the community members had put together. So it's great to see the give and take. It's a evolving process, and hopefully people will take advantage of those future opportunities. I also attended the session at Todd Beamer that had to do with civic action projects. The mayor that was there as well. What's always so interesting is how strongly the students are advocating for positions and how well thought the questions are for these students to develop their concepts further. It was really something to watch and really appreciate the great education that people are getting here in Federal Way. Thanks.
So I too attended the school board retreat, and we have now actually been together as a superintendent and a board for over 50 hours since July, working and retreating and building and coalescing together around our ends and the work, and just for us to become a stronger team for all of our student scholars. The community forums, as we discussed, I attended both of those along with the instructional focus team, and we've now had input from over almost 1,500 voices when we count the surveys that were done online. We've got 3 more of those to do, plus some additional work, over 100 students that will actually give their voice to this process on Friday. So I think we are truly reaching out and throwing a net out as far as we can to make sure that we're gaining all voices, to make sure what the plan is for the next 5 to 7 years includes all. If you've not participated at this point, as Vice President Wilson shared, there are 3 more forums, and I would encourage you to please participate. The Federal Resource Network, I was supposed to go to DC last week, but unfortunately Jonas kind of threw a wrench into that, dumping 34 inches of snow in the DC area. So that was canceled until June. So that national legislative work will continue in June. As Director Drake shared, we will go spend a day on the Hill. I have secured appointments with all 9 of our legislatures that we impact out of this school district, so we will be in front of all 9 of those when we spend our time on Day on the Hill. We actually are part of DA2, Director Area 2, that covers 1/3 of the legislators we touch out of the King County area for all of the state. And so the 4 of us that are on the team have all collectively worked together, and we've secured appointments with almost all of those legislators. Lastly, I just want to thank the Sahalee students once again for coming forward and supporting the tech levy. I would encourage everyone to please make sure that you do vote yes. It is not an increase. It is just a continuation that takes care of our student scholars from a technology perspective over the next 6 years. The ballots are due by February 9th. South King County Fire, thank you for your support. We truly appreciate it. And that's all I have. All right, our next item, Dr. Campbell, is our Federal Way High School construction update.
At this time, I'd like to invite Assistant Superintendent Sally McLean up and the team from Facilities to give you an update on the progress in the construction of Federal Way High School.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Dr. Campbell, President McAnalloy, members of the board. It's always a pleasure to come and share progress related to a very large project that is underway at this point in time. We do have a team that works to ensure that construction for Federal Way High School is moving along on schedule, meeting our milestones, dealing with unexpected issues as they arise. Part of that team is, of course, the City of Federal Way and their planning staff. Part of that team are our district employees. Part of that team are our architects, SRG. Part of that team is our project managers through Green Gazaway. But part of that team is also the leadership at Federal Way High School. And since Dr. Matt Oberst is sitting in the audience, I would just like to take a minute to recognize his efforts in bringing this building to fruition. And at this point in time, I will actually introduce to you Jason Nelson, who I believe has been described as our boots on the ground, who is ensuring that this project continues as we have designed it and developed timelines. And of course, Cindy Wendland, you know, as our director of the Support Service Center, and this Federal Way High School construction project is one of those things. And I will turn it over to the experts now. Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Campbell, members of the board. We're going to do a run through here of our current, where we stand currently on our project. So, we're here to update you and the community on the fall progress of Federal Way High School. Review construction phasing. We have a new board member, so it's good to kind of show where we've been and then see where we're going. This is Federal Way High School as it was in the beginning. The original building, it had every decade since the 30s, a new wing added on. So we entered our first phase where we moved out of the white area and into the yellow area here. We installed a bunch of portables where the students currently reside in. We demoed the areas in yellow on this picture here, which is done. We are currently constructing the area in blue now, which is scheduled to be lived in the September 2016-2017 school year. So what has taken place? A lot has taken place over the last few months since I gave the last report. Construction still continues to move along swimmingly. The structural steel is now up on is raising up on the Pack Highway side. If you see there, that is going to be our new common space. This is air barrier and windows are being installed. This area is on the 308 side. It looks very different now than it does in this picture. Sheetrock is going on in the southwest wing, first and second floor. Also in the south wing now, first and second floor. This area has now been taped with sheetrock mud and tape. The brick is going on the 308 side. That previous picture, it's full of brick now. So one of the things about a school as old as Federal Way is that there's a lot of historical features to this building that we would like to bring forward. We got together with stakeholders in the community, old teachers, and community members and students to go over a few of the memorials that are out there. One of them is this capstone that sits on the original entrance to the building. Now, what you see here in these pictures is a reintegration of that capstone into the current design. The wonderful thing about this is that the capstone will be in almost the exact same place as it was before. And the concrete, it's very hard to see in these pictures, but the concrete shadows the entranceway to the original building. This was everybody at that meeting really enjoyed this portion of it.
So let me just point
Yep.
that out, if you don't mind. I know from a television perspective, this isn't protocol, but you can see the shadowed brick that Jason is talking about, which is where the oldest part of the building is, that is still there. That is the original entryway, and this shape that is cut out is the original footprint for the steps up to the school and that front door. And this is that monument marker that is up in the top of the second story right now that will be salvaged when we get ready to demolish that piece. And situated here at the main entry to the high school.
Another feature about the memorials is the Veterans Memorial. There are many Veterans Memorials, a couple of Veterans Memorials throughout the grounds. One of the things that was important to make sure that those were captured in the new space, and after talking with community members and some of the students, that we all feel a good place for that is around the flagpole. The ROTC that's at the school has very much to do with that flag. Every morning they raise and lower it every day and every evening. So the rest of the memorials have not been forgotten, but we're still working through where they will be placed, but they will be reincorporated into this design here. So that leads us up to what's coming up in the coming months. Interior framing will continue throughout the building, interior sheetrock. Metal finishes on the outside of the metal panels, the siding is actually started. Masonry will continue. All the interior roughen will also continue. That's electrical, plumbing, and all the stuff that goes underneath the sheetrock. The sheetrock and work on the theater will continue. That's the egg shape you see in the overview of the. So as we go along, we will finish this portion in red and we will move in. That leaves the portion in yellow, and the portables will go away, and that portion of the old building will be demolished, leaving the cafeteria and servery while we build the servery and the gymnasium for the last, and then move into the last portion of it and demo the rest of it.
Jason, do you mind going back and just really talking about the time, like the timeline, so folks know when that will happen? And it's there, just if you can talk a little bit about approximations of timing.
Okay.
So starting there.
So come this summer, when the students go away.
Well, they don't go away.
Well, they don't go away. When they stop coming to school,
okay,
for the most part, we will move out of those portables.
Okay.
And we will start moving into the building itself.
Okay.
So, and then the portables will go away over the summer. And we will start demoing that area there over the summer.
One point I want to clarify, because in this original drawing where you see the three orange classroom wings, and then you see the offices along Pack Highway, and then the theater, that round shape on the far right of the orange, the theater will not be ready at the very beginning of school. So the theater will be ready for second semester, but the classrooms will be ready for the start, we'll be moving people in over the summer. So I just want to clarify that that is a small shift in that overall construction schedule.
And so then as we begin the 2016-2017 school year, we'll be holding classes in our new building, but also we'll be using portions of the old one. The old gymnasium will stay, and we will serve lunches in the old cafeteria. So they will walk, there will be a safe path to walk around the current construction, and then they will start construction on the gymnasium and this current servery. And that is scheduled to be open for business in the 2017-2018 school year.
Okay.
So, and then we completely move out of the old building, and then that gets demoed, the fields get finished.
When I field questions out in the community, there's just some confusion about timing, so I thought it'd be great to sort of clarify what the timing will actually be. Thank you, Jason.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Questions, board members?
All right.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank the team. They've been working really hard preparing updates and keeping us on schedule. So Jason, Cindy, Sally, thank you so much for your hard work. It takes a lot to build a school. It does, it goes up pretty effortlessly, but there's a lot of work behind the scenes, and you have been working very hard, and I want to thank you for your hard work.
Thank you. Next is our strategic plan update. Dr. Campbell?
I would like to ask board members to take out your one-pager that's in your board packet. And I'll talk to you a little bit about just some of the highlights that are happening with our strategic planning process. So for those of you who may have heard about the work we're doing to really have a plan that points the direction for the district for the next 5 to 7 years, the strategic planning process is well underway. To date, our core planning team, comprised of over 100 participants, of students, community leaders, parents, city officials, teachers, principals. We have come together for 3 full days to craft goals, the pillars that will be within the plan, metrics, strategies. We have 2 more days as a core planning team, but this is the group that's actually writing that plan. We have had 2 community forums to date, one at Sacagawea for District 1 and the District 5 forum that was at the King County Library. In total, we've had probably about 150 community leaders who've come, community members and parents who've come to these sessions, talking about what do they see as or being important goals to have for their students. So it's been pretty informative, pretty exciting to hear parents talk about what they hope, what they dream for their children. We also administered a community survey, and Director McAnalloy talked a little bit about that, and we learned some things from that. And for the last 2 days, our instructional focus team has met, and that was teachers, principals, assistant principals, and counselors. And this group is really outlining what will be our instructional practices, our instructional strategies. So a lot of hard work that came out of that team as well. Upcoming this Friday, we will have a student focus group session. We'll have over 100 students from across all of our high schools telling us what has worked for them and what we need to do to improve as a system. We want to model every step along the way that our students' voice, our students' input should inform our practices going forward, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what they have to say. As was mentioned earlier, we have 3 more community forums scheduled, and they're on the website. They're at your schools if you're interested in the dates, but there are 3 more to come, and I encourage you to come. We provide food, we provide childcare, and transportation, and I think that has had a lot to do with the large turnout that we have been seeing across. When you remove barriers, parents, families will come. Our core planning team has 2 more full days to meet, and they're going to take the input from the instructional focus team, from the forum. So there's some ideas that are coming up now from outside from around the community. We're going to take those ideas back and integrate them into the work of the core planning team. We see the strategic plan being rolled out sometime in late April, early May, and we will be sharing this here at a board meeting. We'll be sharing it in various forms all across the city, because we're going to be reaching out to our faith-based and community-based partners to help us, to say, here are our 5 goals. Which goal would you like to personally or as a group support? And really have strategic partnerships. So there will be more to come. In addition to that, we will also be having school improvement plans. Every school will then be focused on those goals. And we will officially unveil it and roll it out at our back to school kickoff for the 16-17 school year in September. So it will be no surprise. And one area to note, if it's successful, if we were to ask you what is Federal Way Public Schools focused on, you should be able to tell us if we've done a good job of unveiling and rolling out that strategic plan. The big idea is we haven't had a plan in a couple of decades. This allows us to be much more cohesive and focused as a school system, so we get the results for our scholars that we know they deserve. Pretty excited about the work. There's more to come. This will take some heavy lifting, and it'll take us some time to actually accomplish the goals in that particular plan. It's not something that we roll it out and that year we accomplish the goals, but it does set the pace, set the course for what we're going to be focused on, learning about, and then the metrics. You'll see a data display on our website where we illustrate our progress towards our goals once this is all fleshed out. So lots happening in terms of strategic planning. I want to thank our board of directors. They have come and observed and been participants. I can't tell you how many staff members have said to me, it's really nice to have the board sitting as observers, because it tells us that they really are supporting the work. And I want to encourage you to continue to do so, because it's signaling inside our system that we're all a team focused on the best results for our scholars. Thank you.
Any questions?
I'd just like to get a clarification, because when we talk amongst ourselves, I certainly know what you're talking about, but I don't want our parents to get any misunderstandings that when we talk about scholars, we're not talking about full ride scholarships to Ivy League schools. Every child that comes to learn is a scholar. And so when we say that there's 100 student scholars involved, we're not talking about just the top 2% of the class. We mean that it is a cross-section of the entire school district.
Thank you.
I don't want that term of art to be lost on people.
I want to actually add, what I will tell you that I've led and really will continue to say is that words matter, and what we call our students matters. And when you think about what a scholar is, it's about learning, and we want to really signal and communicate that every single student, all 22,500, are scholars. So it's about the high expectations, and that this is about learning, and that's really what that word is intended to convey.
Any other comments? With that, we're adjourned. Thank you.